and that he really needs a place to stay the night while he waits for his famous dad to get home. And Mr. and Mrs. Iselin are like, oh, you're Sidney Poitier's son? Sure, you can come stay with us. And so David goes over to their place, and he has a nice dinner with them. He stays the night. And of course, when he's leaving the next day, he asks them to loan him some cash because, he just got mugged. And they're like, sure, here's some money. Then the next day, David hits up another wealthy couple from the address book, Mr. and Mrs. Elliot. And he tells them the same bullshit story that he got mugged and that he's Sidney Poitier's son and that he just needs somewhere to crash for the night while he waits for his famous father to get home. And the Elliots are like, sure, come over. And so then David is at the Elliots' place and he eats dinner with them and they're super nice to him and they give him a guest room to sleep in. But this is where he screws up. He asks the Elliots to wake him up early the next morning so that he can go for a jog. But here's the thing. At some point during the night, I guess David feels like smashing. So he low-key invites a friend over, like a booty call, and sneaks that friend into the Elliots' guest bedroom to smash. And he's openly gay, by the way, which in the 80s is a lot more taboo than it is now. Now it's really not. But regardless, the next morning, Mrs. Elliot heads over to the bedroom to wake him up. And kaboom! She catches him, all snuggled up in bed with some scruffy-looking dude, and she's like, oh my heavens! And so the Elliots are pissed. And they're like, you're not Sidney Poitier's son! Who are you? Get the f*** out of our house! And so David leaves. Here's the thing, though. David doesn't realize that the Elliots just happen to be close friends with the Islins. And Mrs. Elliot is super upset, and she wants to vent. So she calls her good friend, Mrs. Islin, and she tells her about how they got conned by this teenager claiming to be Sidney Poitier's son. And Mrs. Islin is like, holy shit, we got conned by that same kid just the night before.